now call it UN. But if you go back and research, they have always kept changing the name to this, and now they call it the UN.
Yeah, that was way before the Pakistan and all these
Yeah,
resolutions.
they have always been
established.
around.
Mm-hmm.
They've just changed their names as years goes on and on. And
Well,
now
see,
they call themselves
even the
UN.
Arab League was before that. Was before the United Nations. In fact, the Arabs is the first one to start setting up united, nations and united parties, so they can discuss it. And the United Nations co-handed this. But we had a great thing to do with the setting up of that United Nations. This organization, like he was explaining, about what our caliphs have done. These men was the men of God. I met 3 of them, and trust me, brother. When I met these men, I recognized that religiousness in them, that holiness in these persons. Like I said before, that when you look at his face, he just lights up like a light, and then his eyes glitters like diamond. And when I saw that in the third Khalifa, when I first met him, I had to break down and cry. I saw what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for in the person who's supposed to be leading me. And the things that he have done, and the things that he have said, the prayers that he have said, they all came true. So I realized that I'm into something now that I must put myself into if I want to get something right. And so I devoted my life to this. I devoted my life, especially giving it to my people. Because I know once we get it, we can take it too far. We're great peoples. We must remember that we are great peoples, and we can do things that God has designed us to do. But some of us is like foolish. The things that we're doing right now is something I never thought African Americans would do. Like robbing banks, like killing people. You could never tell me that they would do things like that. When that shooting went on in D.C., ain't nowhere in the world you could have told me that was African American doing that. I said, no, we don't do that kind of thing. But when I found out that these was African Americans, boy, I almost dropped dead. I shouldn't. I didn't want to drop dead, but I almost, because I said, wow, man, I'm seeing things I never saw before.
Sister got a question.
Why do you think that this information, the Ahmadiyya, has been, what I guess I would say, on the down low? You say that Noble Drew Ali knew about it, and Elijah Muhammad knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why was it not shared? Why do you think they did not share this information with the masses of their people?
Well, they did. They did. Elijah Muhammad told his people to look for the true Islam. He told his people that. But in the book that you see him holding in his hand, that's an Ahmadiyya Quran. They got more of our books than we got ourselves. We were shipping books off to them by the dozen, by the boxes of them. They studied this. But some of them came over and some of them didn't. And Noble Drew Ali said the same thing. Look for true Islam. Because like that gap in between, they didn't know what to do. Because they didn't have contact with the headquarters. No missionaries from 1926 to 1930. You could imagine. And so they said, well, I'm going to teach it the way I want to teach it, and teach it to the people that who needs it. And that's what they did. So we don't have no fault against them. As far as I'm concerned, they was doing the right thing. They're doing what they thought was right.
Excuse me.
Oh.
I have a question.
Well, he kept.
Let him go, sir.
Okay.
So are you saying that back during that time, there was a possibly a secret society?
A secret society?
Yes, and dealing with the Ahmadiyya and distributing it to different other, the knowledge to different other organizations?
No, we didn't have any secret
So
society.
there was no secret
No
society
secret
that the
society.
Ahmadiyya.
No.
I have one other question. You mentioned that the first caliph
First Khalifa, yeah.
was was a Sufi, and he came over to the Ahmadiyya.
Mhm.
Is that correct? Would you say
He's the
that?
first.
Okay. Would you say that that the Ahmadiyya and the Sufis have been rejected by other divisions of Islam?
We have been rejected by the division of Islam. Here's what the Holy Prophet Muhammad says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, in the last days there shall be 73 sets of Muslims. And out of that 73, there shall be one that would follow my footsteps. The other two would go to hell. This is what he said. So the 72 Muslims in 1974, they declared us kafirs. They
Excuse me.
declared us disbelievers.
Okay.
This is what they declared. There was 72 of them.
Wow.
Sets that declared us kafirs, disbelievers. That
Why
was in
that?
1974.
Yeah, isn't that the same thing that happened to the Sufis also? They claimed them.
They during Islamic history, everybody was put under fire. Who didn't practice the way the Shias practice, or who didn't practice the way the Sunnis practice, who didn't practice the way the Wahhabi practice. So they put fatwas on other Muslim groups. But this, with the 74 that got against us, they've been trying to stop us for 127 years, brother, and we still been growing. We've been growing by leaps and bounds all over the world. Sister? Okay.
When you speak of God, what God are you speaking of?
Oh, brother keep telling me I have to stop saying that. When I say that, I say it when I'm talking to Christians. You know, but I can change that. I'm talking about Allah. I'm speaking about Allah.
You know, I'm listening to it, and I recognize the 73 sections, 72, but I'm also got a big word that seemed to bother me. Out of all the reading I might do, 100 books I might go through, and all of the reading I do, I got a word that messes with me, and that particular word has to do with my interpretation. From here to me, from me to you, you got a interpretation of words that may not agree with my interpretation of words. And could that be the chaotic point that's going in between within us as we wrestle with what we're doing here? Because I recognize the Holy Quran, I recognize all that we said, and yet I know that some part of this is also the Old Testament, some part of this is Revelation, and then all these books got books put together one way or another in it. But I'm concerned about how you interpretate what you're reading, to utilize it for yourself in behalf of the God Spirit in you.
The Holy Quran is with all of the words which God have given to the prophets before the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In other words, they've been magnified. They've been given a greater depths, because it speaks about just about all the prophets that we know of in the Bible. This is what the Holy Quran speaks, and it basically speaks about Moses when the Jews, was defiant. That's one of the things that God always puts in there, because He says, I don't want you to be like these Jews. But He told the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told his followers, He said, but in the last days, He said, my followers will be so much like the Jews that they will seem as though they're walking in the same shoes. Just like the Jews rejected their Messiah, He said, so shall my followers do the same. Whatever the Jews did, He said, my followers will be doing the same to them. He spoke about this. So, and that's exactly what happened. They rejected Messiah. They done took him and threw him under the bus. They said, there's no Messiah. We don't believe in no Messiah. What did the Jews say? The Jews said the same thing. We don't believe in no Messiah.
So which Jews are you talking about?
What you want, the Hebrews or the Ishmaelites or
Colossians?
yeah.
Islam.
It's,
Jews is Moors, huh?
huh?
Go ahead. The original Jews was Moors, wasn't it?
Original Jews? I don't know, brother. That part, I had to say Allah is the best of Lord.
And you got the
But
word
the Jews,
Jew from Jerusalem,
but the Jews, it came from the word Judah. Because at the particular time when Jesus was taken and hanging on the cross, there was only 2 tribes there. That was the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin. So the other 10 tribes, Jesus had to go to them in order to bring the word to them. So that's why we say that Jesus didn't die on the cross. Because if he had died there, he never went to the other 10 tribes. But them other 10 tribes was scattered all over India, Kashmir, Afghanistan, and all that. And the peoples have been known to be descendants from the Jews who are in Afghanistan and in Kashmir. There's a lot of them there.
What about the Jews in Africa?
The Jews are also in Africa because they went that way.
Colossians.
Yeah.
In Afghanistan.
You had different colored Jews, but the Jews wasn't really, it was dark on this side, light on this side, dark on that side, light on this side. Because when they came out of Egypt, that's where they came out. In different colors. But all of them was Jews.
The teachings of Yeshua are all through the Bible, of Isa are all through the Quran. But the teachings are older than the Bible and the Quran by at least 4,000, 6,000 years and found in Kemet.
What teachings?
Teachings of Jesus, teachings of Isa. They're over 6,000 years older than the Bible and the Quran, found in Kemet.
It's not 6,000 older than the Quran. The Quran is the last book of God.
So
The
you
Jews,
have
well, the Jews, what Jesus taught. Well, Jesus didn't bring a book now.
I said teachings. Books
You have to-
were
you have-
written down
Okay,
in
you have to remember
from the temple walls.
You have to remember the teachings from all the other prophets before. All the prophets taught the same thing,
Right.
but under a different way because of the different class of people, by the different change of people, the different change of the society. But the Quran verifies all of that. The Quran is for, just like God says, it's forever and ever. In other words, it can be interpreted for this time and in future time.
Islam, I understand that. I never said anything about a book. I said the teachings. My understanding is that when the Hyksos Hebrew Israelites overthrew Kemet and ruled there for 236 years and then wrote themselves in as the people of God, from taking the scriptures off the temple walls, the knowledge of Christ, the first Christ, Heru, not Horus of the Greek name or the English name Jesus. Now, help me to understand how the Ahmadiyya believes that this writing, these teachings of the Christ, don't come from the comedians of Kemet.
Those teachers that came before the real Christ came on the scene is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one that the Christ brought when he came. The teachings that this Christ, the last Christ who came, not that first Christ we're talking
Talking
about.
about AD.
Yeah. So that's the Christ I'm talking about.
But what I'm saying
So
is that
I'm not familiar with back there where you talking about.
Okay.
I heard about it, I read it, but I'm not familiar with it. It's stuff like that. I read it and I understand it, but I'm not familiar with it. So I don't want to get into a discussion where you know something I'm not really familiar with.
fair enough.
Excuse
Fair
me,
enough.
but what I have a problem with, how can you have a foundation and leave out the foundation? And it be accurate.
How can you have a foundation and leave out a
If
foundation?
Kemet is your foundation, how can you leave it alone without building anything?
Whatever came before Jesus Christ, I understand some of it, but not all of it. And what I'm having, what I study is what I know right now.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, how can you exclude that?
I'm not excluding anything.
Then how can you build?
I can build because what Jesus Christ had came
But there
to
was
say.
someone before Jesus Christ.
Sure, all of that stuff is in line.
So how can you leave that alone?
I'm not leaving that alone.
Islam. Let me say something here real quick, and probably get things put things in perspective, so we can get a little bit of history to get some understanding about the Trinity. There were 26
It's a whole lot. of
crucified
changes.
saviors, you know, before Christ. And it's,
16.
16. But what happens is that all of the concepts of the Trinity of Mother, Father, Spirit, Holy Ghost was all conceived from that first Trinity about Heru and Isis and Asar.
I
That was-
said.
Asar and Aset. That first Trinity, and everything else is a mind concept that spurred off of that. So that's all that's being said is that there's a foundation of where that Trinity spawned off of, you know. And my other question too was that a lot of people that are in Islam speak about Christianity. I think maybe more so about allegory, the stories to relate to the here and now. Is that true?
Well, you got some Muslim that does that, yeah?
To put things in perspective about timelines. I think that's what I feel. I'm just asking, is that true?
Some of them do.
Okay. It's on.
Because one thing I want you to know, that I'm not familiarized with a whole lot of stuff way back there. I read some of it, but rather, as far as I'm concerned, it didn't affect me as much as this today. You see, but I understand it. You know, in other words, I understand my history. I understand where I came from. You know, I understand all of that. All that is in my mind. But some stuff that you know, maybe I don't know. You know, but I'm not denying that. But I'm going back with Jesus Christ of 2,000 years ago. When I speak AD.
He studied in Egypt.
I know that. I know that part.
Kemet,
Yeah, I know that he was the
Which is
brother.
Kemet.
I know that he came from the brothers of the Essenes.
Yes.
That's why they were white. That's why the person who was standing at the tomb, Mary Magdalene, thought it was an angel, but it was
The
one of her
secret
brothers
brother-
dressed in
under
white.
the secret brotherhood.
Secret brotherhood.
Mysteries
I
of the
know all
secret
of that.
brotherhood of the East.
Islam. I think what the whole picture is that love, peace, and unity. It's in all of it, and that's the key to the connection. That's the foundation.
That's
The
the
foundation
foundation.
is the love, peace, and unity. That's the foundation that we have in all of this.
Well, that's what we're about.
Exactly.
That's what we're about. That's why we're going around the world doing all of this teaching.
Bring it together.
Bring it
You know,
together.
trying to bring it together.
Yes. Islam.
When we talk about world order,
Mhm.
I know you said that you don't go that far back as far as the knowledge that we obtain as far as with ancient Kemet. Are you familiar with the Ma'at? The Ma'at is world order, of my understanding, because it's a balance to all mankind, and the male and female. It's the balance of both. The Ma'at is principle of all life. It's order, and everything is justice.
Can I say something?
Well, that's what the Messiah is about.
Can I say something? We're not going. I hope we're not going to take this man back to Kemet. We got this man on this table about questioning him of the Quran, questioning him of Islam. That's what we want to drill him with.
But in order
Islam.
to understand what we know, we have to be able to
Connect.
converse with him in order to put it together to understand what we're supposed to understand that he's delivering to us.
Yeah, but at the same time, it looked like to me we putting him on a question block
No, we're
when we
asking
really
questions.
want him to tell us about what Islam is about.
If you can't put it
Go ahead,
together
go
in your
ahead.
head, then
Let me say
why are
something.
you even dealing with it?
When we first started off, Kahani told us to forget about what we know and listen and learn. So that's
Well,
what we,
in
that's what
order
we
for
did.
me to put it together and have a whole total complete understanding of learning, I have to ask questions. I'll be just like the children in our regular school system that go into school and come out knowing nothing because they couldn't make the connection.
Can we put these questions just on what
I don't
we're
have to
dealing with?
ask anything. I can be quiet.
Okay.
No, we don't.
Islam.
We don't
Okay.
If I may, first I want to give thanks to the power of the be for allowing us to be in your presence and the time you've taken to come, you and your consort. I'm grateful for this information that I have been given would never have been if had not y'all been here. And it opens up my mind to more than what I thought I knew. It confirms that which I'm seeking to know. Self. You spoke on it, and you hit it real good about what it's for the individual to get out what is being presented. And Padisha set the table well. He said, this table is for you to know who you are. Know thyself. So, and then you very graciously and intellectually said that this is not what I have studied. So I will not discuss something that I have not studied. It was profound for me.
That's fair.
Because I heard the brother speak of paranoia and doubt and the fear of wanting to speak out but don't know how. And I remember studying in this very room on that same table. If Adisha broke it open, he said in one of the books, not what he said, is what he allowed us to see. And what it spoke to me was this. They could only decipher less than 1/10 of the sacred writings, the Metaneta. So if they could only decipher less than 1/10, then I have to be careful the words I use and the thoughts I think, because I'm misinformed in the beginning. Now I sit here and I stand here in amongst those who seek to know, and I'm using the words of those who. So I thank you. I must go. Hotel. It's
Hotel.
Let me go this way. Isn't that room over here?
Yeah, we go this way.
Yeah, Badisha, thank you, sir, for allowing me to be here.
I got a question. I'm going back to the original, what you know. You said 73 Islam situations out there. And you know, it seems like to me if it's 73, and I know some of them at war because you see it on TV and all that type of situation. My question is that if we try and unite, you said something about unifying everything. You can't unify everything unless you start with the 73. You see what I'm saying? Because that would take numbers, and that would take the majority of the situation involved anyway. Okay, so when you say unite, are you trying to unite new people? People that's not aware, what's going on. I had a kind of. Could you bring me up on what we were talking about? What you was talking about?
Well, what we're interested in is people who want to talk about peace. Whatever group, wherever you come from, Christians, Buddhists, whoever wants to talk about peace. You talk about peace from your side, what you think is peace, and we talk about peace from our side, what we think is peace. We want to bring everybody together. We want everybody to understand each other. That's why we disagree with each other, because we don't understand each other.
Don't understand peace.
We don't understand peace.
Okay.
But we're all seeking for that. So we're seeking for it so much that we're going throughout the world doing it. We're going to different organizations doing it.
But don't peace start within?
Yes.
Because when it starts within, it's already there.
If you don't have peace with yourself, how are you going to spread it?
Right.
Just like Allah says in the Quran, He says, "I does not change the conditions of the people until they change that within their heart." So in other words, you have to change that within each individual, and you have to change what's in your heart.
Because I have peace.
Whether
I'm
you
with
have peace.
I got peace.
Well, you were saying that that the Ahmadiyas were rejected and labeled as disbelievers, used the word kafir or something like that. Why was it due to politics, basically, that the Ahmadiyas were rejected or labeled as disbelievers? Why did they do that?
Well, they label us disbelievers because we believe that there's a prophet after the Holy Prophet Muhammad.
Oh, okay.
See, other Muslims don't believe that there's a prophet after him because they believe just in Khatam al-Nabiyyin, but they don't understand what that means. Khatam al-Nabiyyin means the seal of the prophets. It doesn't mean last.
Okay.
You know, it means the seal. You know, that anyone who's coming and says that I'm a prophet, then he must bear that seal of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He must teach what he taught. He must not deviate from any path of what he taught. So if he says I'm a prophet, he's not an independent prophet, but he's a prophet who comes under the auspices of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He must teach the whole thing. And Imam Ahmed made that statement, and he made it clear. He said if it was not for Muhammad, he said I would not be able to do the things I do.
So are you saying Prophet Muhammad was not the last prophet?
He was the last of the law-abiding.
Okay.
You said,
Law
Last
bound.
of what?
Law-abiding. In other words, there would be no other prophet coming that would bring a law. Any prophet who come, like Allah says in the Quran, even though the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't have any living male children, Allah told him, say, I shall give you many children. So anyone who's born a Muslim, anyone who is a Muslim, who's a part of the Ummah, which is the community of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, can become a prophet.
Now say that word again. Law something.
Law bearing.
Law bound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Law bearing.
law bearing.
Oh, law bearing. Okay.
law
yeah,
bearing.
got it.
Okay.
So when we speak of the prophet, which prophet of Muhammad are we talking about? You talking about the first prophet Muhammad?
We're talking about the prophet of Arabia,
There's many prophets called Prophet Muhammad.
after Muhammad.
The first.
Yeah, Muhammad the first. There was no other person in Arabia named Muhammad until this Muhammad.
So he was the law
Law bearing.
bearer.
Yeah, he brought the law. He brought a new law.
And the
Because
rest
he came like Moses.
okay, Musa.
Yeah, Musa.
The rest of the prophets will be independent prophets. You say
They won't be independent. They won't be separated from it. They will be a prophet, but they will bring no law.
independent prophets.
They won't be independent prophets. You understand that?
What's
they
different?
won't be independent of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What he teaches, even though he's a prophet, he must teach what the prophet taught. In other words, he's a shadow,
Has to be a reflection.
a reflection.
Right.
Just like we say that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the sun. You know the sun shine all over you. And Ghulam Ahmed is the moon. And what the moon does, it don't have no
Reflects.
light of its own.
Right.
He gets his light from the sun. And so that's where they do it. Ghulam Ahmed gets his light. He gets his light from the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Ms. Long.
I have a question in regard to the community. How are women regarded? Do we hold these roles?
That of course is coming.
As teachers, as equals, as a step below the man in the religion, in the community? How are women regarded?
No step below. Only thing that makes a woman under us is that we are the sole providers. Men's are the sole providers. Our women do what they want to do. They have their own organization within our organization. And we don't interfere with them. But what they do the same thing we do. You know, we got doctors, we got lawyers, we got all that among our women. You know, and we don't interfere in the affairs. If we do, then we'll get stepped on by our leader. You know, because he don't want to, because he knows the sister's going to do the right thing. He knows that. So
Those sisters gonna do the right thing.
yeah, he knows it. That's right.
Brother Ahmed followed the Sharif law of marriage.
Yes.
And how do y'all? Could you explain the marriage to us?
What about the marriage?
They follow the law of the Sharif law of marriage of Islam.
Yeah, we married according to Islamic law.
Okay.
And they have a little culture mix in, which doesn't go against Islam. Like choosing a bride for your son or your daughter, you know, which we doesn't interfere with. But his culture does that. You know, like he would say, well, I want my son to marry so and so. But they go and get a woman and they get a family and they sit down and talk about it to see who's going to marry them. But it doesn't interfere. It helps really.
Are there any female imams?
No female imams.
Well,
Okay. Now, women's don't lead the women's. When the women's make prayer amongst themselves, they don't stand out in front. No woman like the imam does stands out in front. They don't stand out in front. She stands in the middle of the first row to lead the prayer for the women's. You see, only the man stands out. If we're going to protect you, how are we going to protect you out there in front of us? You know, but your spirituality, your religion, you're on the same level you are. Just like man received revelation, you can receive revelation. There's no difference when it comes to that. We're your protectors. If you say get out there and fight, we got to get out there and fight.
As teachings of the Ahmadiyya, how do they relate to the feminine aspect of all that?
Relate to the feminine aspect. Yes, femininity, soul. That's where it started from. Feminists. That was the first. Allah says in the Quran, I made a hole. And in that hole, I placed this sperm. That's why we say Mother Earth. That's what this is. Mother Earth, this thing. Everything comes from Mother Earth. Grows from Mother Earth. Mother Earth is the women that's sitting in here. This is Mother Earth. These are the women who birth prophets. These are the women who birth presidents. These are the women who birth great men. They birthed these. Allah had purified these women. Women's are great. But some of us look at them as women as nothing.
So when you saying Mother Earth and you speaking what you're speaking, we can relate to it and it's take us right back to Kendall. And we don't have no choice but to ask him many questions because that's the beginning of all.
Hey, it's the beginning. I'm touching on everything then.
I'm gonna ask this now. I don't have a problem, but I'm curious. And I understand that there may be some cultural differences and people do things different ways. Like you said, in his culture they choose wives and I have no problem with that. But in the Ahmadiyya, they have pluralistic marriages or polygamy and stuff, like they choose different wives or the wife first wife helps the husband choose other wives.
First of all, this country says that you can only have one wife. And the Quran says obey the laws of the land in which you live.
Okay.
So we have to obey it now.
Okay.
If we have a second wife, it won't be fair to the second wife. Because if anything happened to me, she gets nothing. See, so in another country, in the Eastern country, we have 2 wives. We had some African brothers who got 4 wives.
Yeah.
But they are in Africa.
I think that's fine.
We have brothers here who have 2 wives.
Right.
But if something happened to him, the other 3 ain't gonna get nothing.
Well, if they're working on gay marriages and stuff, I'm sure that's gonna open up real soon.
Well, if they got gay marriages, they should have polygamy.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow. That's too much for me. That's too much information.
Overload.
Yeah.
Where did Master Farad Muhammad come from? Where did he come from?
Master Farad Muhammad. That's I think I said something about him earlier. He came through the Ahmadiyya Anjuman. Like I said, that there was a split
Right.
And that came about in 19, I think it was 1914, when the first Khalifa died. That's when the split started. In other words, you had the people who, Ahmadi Anjumar means the administration of the community. They was the administration. The second Khalifa was only 25 years old when he became Khalifa. And all of these old men thought this young man wouldn't be able to run this organization. But what they failed to understand is that God spoke of his birth before he was born and what type of person he would be. Allah says that there will be nothing in the world that he didn't know about. And he said everything that he needs to know, I will teach him. You know, and this man was great. He was great. Because he was bad in school. He couldn't see that well, couldn't learn that well. But when Allah taught him everything that he knew. And he wrote a lot of books. He wrote this book over here that this brother has. And he explained the whole of Islam. Allah says he would be like Emmanuel. You remember reading in the Bible about Emmanuel? Emmanuel, that God said the 5 virgins, 5 was wise and 5 was foolish. He comes under that prophecy. This man did. And he had 4 wives. Because the progen of this movement, bringing Islam back to the post in which it was during the time of the Prophet, it had to come from the family of Ahmed. So this is why he had 4 wives. But all of the other Pakistanis and other parts of his family only had 1 wife. That answer your question?
Who are the 3 caliphs, sir?
You talking about the first ones? First one was Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr.
Abu Bakr.
Yeah.
Abu Bakr, B-A-K-R. Is he the one with great travel?
Who, Abu Bakr?
Uh-huh.
Abu
With all
Bakr,
the travel.
no, that's a different Abu Bakr.
Okay.
Number 2?
Number 2 was in Umar. Yeah.
What did,
Umar was the second.
what was his,
No last name?
And the last one.
Third
one was Usman.
Uthman. Third one was Uthman. And the last name, Umar had a last name, but I don't recognize it.
Okay, third
I was so used to calling him Umar, his last name. Third one was Uthman. Uthman.
Our people never believe in first and last names anyway. You know, right?
They didn't pronounce it. They used the first name, always the first name. Last name came in and left somebody say the family of so and so and so and so. And the last one was Ali.
Ali.
That was
Ali?
Yeah, Ali.
Ali.
That was the nephew of the Holy Prophet Muhammad.
Umar Ali.
Ali was the
nephew?
last one. Yeah, the last one.
Then that's his first one?
Ali, no.
Thank you.
If you mention those, you can say the Khalifa was first. Everybody knows who you're talking about. And that was the only 4 that was recognized by Allah. All the rest of them after that was not recognized by Allah. Because the Holy Prophet Muhammad said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that every century there would be a reformer that would come. And after Ali was killed, Uthman was killed, Umar was killed.
what date was these?
These back, what, 575, not 576.
Okay, 500,
After the
600.
death of the Prophet.
Okay.
He's back in the 6th. And Ali was the last one. He was assassinated. Ali was assassinated. Uthman was assassinated. And Umar was assassinated. 3 was assassinated.
What was the death of the Prophet?
Natural death.
Natural death?
Natural death. He done his job. When the prophet do his job, Allah takes him.
He was murdered.
No, he wasn't murdered. Nobody kills the prophet.
The first Prophet Muhammad.
first prophet Muhammad wasn't murdered. If somebody killed a prophet of God, that means you don't have too much power to protect you from God. God said he would protect Muhammad.
Thank you.
Nobody still need it.
Go ahead, sisters.
Okay, I got a question. I was reading this book in Mortal Man, and it mentions of the Els and Bays, and the Els and Bays are supposedly 3 tribes, El, Bay, and Ali. It says 3 tribes, El, Bay, and Ali. And saying that you are not to use Ali, the name Ali, not name your children Ali. But I want to know, do you know why that is?
Who said that?
It was in this book that I read in Mortal.
That's 5%ers.
That's 5%.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
That does.
that's a jailhouse song.
That's a what?
That's why I said what I said. I didn't try to be smart. I was trying to be cool.
It started in the jail.
You know.
5%.
So does that make it less legitimate because it was in the jail?
Well, what they said, that had nothing to do with Islam. That's their own saying. In other words, they added to what they want to add to. That's deviating from what the belief of Islam is.
But didn't Jesus run around with criminals and he was hung beside criminals and he went to the criminals in order to minister to them?
Well, that's what Islam does.
Okay.
Islam ministers to the criminals. I worked in the prison for 30 years. And the only thing that stopped me from working in the prison that most of them brothers come out and they go right back to doing what they're doing. So I don't want to waste my time like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they ask me, say, why you give it up? That's why I gave it up.
Well, I mean, from my perspective, it's kind of like Christianity or any religion we're supposed to follow, I guess, the example made by that prophet. You know what I'm saying? By that messenger, the person who best exemplifies whatever spiritual system that is. And the example made by the messengers all the messengers that I follow, each and every one of them went to where the lowest of the low were, where the most needy people were. And they didn't feel like they were wasting their time.
Well, that's different from what I went through. You know, because this is I know what you're saying. Because this is what prophets does. You know, even God himself go among the lowest of the lowest. He goes among the poor people. When you treat the poor people wrong, God steps on you. You know, he don't like that because you're supposed to, because you have more than me, you're supposed to help me. You know, I'm not supposed to run out there and start begging. You're supposed to look at me and say, oh, brother needs some help. I'm not going to come out there and beg you for anything. You know, but I'm going to spend some money to try to help you uplift yourself. You know, this is what you do for the poor. Because Allah says in the Quran, he said, I made some this rich and I made some that rich. And I made some low and made some high. You know, now what you going to do? The ones who are high, take care of the ones who are low. But this side and this system, boy, they want to cut your throat.
It's
And everything they talk about cutting, it come from down here.
Yes,
Mhm.
You know, where it's needed.
Right.
You know, so God doesn't like that.
It's all about morality.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.